Well, here we are, week one of the terminal. And I guess, like every flight, you got to start with check-in. And this is where you deal with your baggage. You know, the airlines take your baggage really serious. They want to make sure that you don't have the wrong stuff in it, and they're really picky about how much you carry. And if you go overweight in your baggage, it's going to cost you a lot. But you know what? In life, God has some things to say about baggage, and we're going to talk about it today. And if you're carrying too much in your baggage in life, it could cost you everything, even eternity. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So here we go. It's about time to take off. So let's deal with your baggage. We've all seen them hurrying through the terminal, their eyes red, their forehead sweating. They're stressed, their shoulders are slumped. Couples yelling at each other, and they just walk through the front door. They're making their way to the ticket counter, because the ticket counter is the place where you check your bags. And the reason people get so stressed is because the airports or the airlines, they're so brilliant. They know that if one of your bags goes over the weight limit, they'll charge you more than it would cost you just to buy a new bag and check it as a second bag. And so people get stressed. How close am I to that cutoff point? How close am I going to go overweight? Kim and I have experienced this so many times, because we are the type of people who go on a 3-day trip packing like we're moving to another country. Because what if? You have to pack for all the what ifs. What if the weather changes? Well, what if I feel different? What if I don't want to wear this outfit? I want to wear this outfit. What happens if I pick up weight on the first day because I eat so much and then I can't fit into what I brought on the second day? And so you overpack, you overpack, you overpack. And so you come to this check-in to check your bags. Look at somebody and say, check your bags. Now let me explain to somebody the ground rules. There's really just one big rule. You check your bags, because you can't check somebody else's bags. So for those of you worried about somebody else's bags, you need to deal with your own bags. We were flying out of Phoenix Airport a few years ago. And Phoenix Airport is really strict when it comes to their traffic. When you pull up to drop somebody off, the officer that stands out there, he's yelling from the time you pull in. He wants you to move the car. Well, we pulled up and there was curbside check-in and there was no line. So I dropped Kim off. Now they want you just kind of open the door and kick your family out on the curb. But I pulled up, I dropped Kim off, and I get out and I get my bags and I'm running up to the counter because I'm thinking we're already late for the flight. I could check my bags real quick and then jump back in the car and go park it, and then I'll run and meet Kim at the gate. Well, as soon as I started towards that counter, that traffic officer saw me. He starts blowing his whistle, yelling, you got to move the car, move the car, move the car. So I hand Kim my license and I said, here, check my bags for me. So I jump in the car, I move the car, I go park it. I come running back, and what do I find but Kim still standing at the curbside check-in. And she said, he won't let me check your bags. You're only allowed to check your own bags. So you don't have a right to check somebody else's bags. You have to deal with your own bags. Because God does not want you living life carrying these bags, this extra baggage. The Bible has a lot to say about baggage, and I want to talk about it today. In fact, in Hebrews chapter 12, we believe it could have been the Apostle Paul. Some people believe it could have been Barnabas that wrote Hebrews. We don't really know, but the author is anointed by God. And here's what he says in Hebrews 12, verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely. And let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the author, the founder, and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Here's a big idea. Obviously, nobody came in here today carrying their baggage. That's the natural. But what if we could just peel back the curtain of the natural and look into the spiritual? And what if we didn't just see people in the natural? What if we were able to see people in the spiritual? Many of you walked in this place today loaded down with baggage. And Jesus is saying it's time to check your bags. Look at somebody and say, check your bags. So there are 5 bags that I want to deal with this morning. And let's talk about the first one, because this first one's a big one. This first bag I want to talk to you about is the baggage of pride. Now, God hates this bag. And you know why God hates this bag? Because this bag makes you believe that you're better than somebody else. And whenever you think you're better than somebody else, God just looks back at Jesus and he says, do you remember when you were seated on the throne and you had all the praise of heaven and you had all the glory and you were crowned with many crowns, but I asked you to take all that off so you could go down and be born as one of them, live as one of them, die for one of them, and then come back and take your seat on the throne, and now one of them are acting like they're better than somebody else. And I think that's why God hates this bag of pride. The bag of pride is where it all begins. Because the bag of pride makes you think you can handle it. The bag of pride makes you think you got it under control. You don't need church, you don't need Jesus, you don't need people, you don't need help. I can handle this bag on my own. In fact, here's how you know you're battling or you're carrying the baggage of pride. If you're sitting there right now thinking, man, I know somebody who really needs this point, this is your bag. This is your bag. It's a baggage of pride. I don't need help. I don't need anyone to assist me. I don't need anyone to help me deal with this. And I started thinking about one time me and Kim, we went to the airport. This is a funny story. And sure enough, Kim, notice I blame Kim, not me. But Kim takes her luggage, which I had to carry, right? And I lift it up on that scale, and we watch as those little red numbers tick all the way up and go past the overweight. And they said, okay, this is going to cost you an additional, I think it was an additional $75 for being overweight for one bag. I said, hold up real quick. I said, check my bag. And I put my bag up there, and I came underweight by about 10 or 15 pounds. Can I tell you what me and Kim did? Now the line is full. There's people everywhere. We got down on our knees, unzipped our bag, and with everybody standing there watching, here's our underwear for everyone to see, our dirty laundry for everyone to see. And we're pulling items out of one bag and we're sticking them in the other bag because we're trying to get under that weight cutoff. See, here's the thing about pride. If you allow God, He'll deal with it privately. But if you don't, there'll come a day you'll have to deal with it publicly. And everybody's going to see the dirty laundry, and everybody's going to see the things you tried to hide, and everybody's going to see the things that you didn't want anyone else to see. But if you deal with it private, God will cover it. But if not, He will expose it. This is the lie of pride. God says, why don't you deal with this bag today? Let me tell you about another bag. This is a heavy bag. I call this baggage guilt. And this is the bag of guilt. I wish I wouldn't have. If I could go back in time, if I could just replay that moment of my life, guilt, shame, always trying to hide, always afraid that somebody's going to find out. There are people in this room today that you showed up to Citygate Church to volunteer. You open doors with a smile all the time trying to push this bag behind you. I'm good because church people are good at that. See, let me tell you something about church people. And if you're here today and this is your first time at church, I doubt you've ever been to a church like this, and I'll tell you why. Because people who are professional church people act like they ain't got no bags. People who are professional church people don't want to admit that they've got a bag in their life. They're just good at hiding it. They're kind of like those trash bags. You ever seen those trash bags where we got a baby in the house now, so we got this dirty diaper, right? And we had to get these trash bags, and they got this odor-destroying scent at the top of the bag. So it doesn't matter what's down in the bottom of the bag. It's scented on top, so you open your drawer, you don't smell dirty diapers. You smell like a bouquet of flowers. You know what I'm talking about? See, that's good church people. They know how to scent their life just enough so that you don't ever smell the garbage that's really down in them. See, church in itself doesn't work. Church without Jesus just makes the guilty feel guiltier. Church without Jesus just makes the shameful feel even more shame in their life. That's why it's not about church today. It's all about Jesus today. Because only a church with Jesus in it can deal with the real bags that are in your life. Let me break from just a moment. Do they got my saddleback back there? Bring me my saddleback. I wanted to show you this bag. This is my favorite bag. I always wanted one, and one year as a gift, the church bought me this bag. It's called a saddleback. And their tagline, this company, has the best tagline in the world. Here's the tagline: your family will fight over it when you're dead. Isn't that a great tagline? Because they're saying that's how long it's going to last. I had just gotten this bag. I mean, it was brand spanking new, and my daughter Sage, she was a little girl at the time, she took her fingernail, and you can still see some of it, and she carved her name into the front of my bag. Now you probably think, would you get upset? No, because that's the idea of this bag. This bag kind of takes on your life. Every mark on it is a memory. Every scratch on it reminds you of something. So when I first got it, I wanted to travel, and this was going to be my travel bag. I wasn't going anywhere without this bag. So I went to California. I was walking down the street of Santa Barbara. Kim was with me, and this businessman was walking up the street opposite of us, and he looked at me. He goes, "Saddleback?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, and I thought, that's it. I've made it. Because this is a nice bag. Can I tell you, it doesn't matter how nice the bag is on the inside. Because you know why I stopped carrying my saddlebag? You know why I stopped carrying this through the airports? Because it felt real good when I first got there. But when you've been walking through the terminal for an entire day, I promise you this is the heaviest bag in the entire world. And I walked in looking good, but after a few hours of carrying this, I'm slumping, I'm walking crooked, my back hurts, my neck hurts, and I just want to give somebody this bag because I don't want to carry this bag anymore. That's kind of like the bag of guilt. That's kind of like the baggage that you carry in your life. You look good when you first get it on you, but after a year, after 2 years, after 5 years, you finally start slumping down because you are just tired of carrying these bags. Am I talking to anybody in the house today? How about this bag? This is the bag of people. That's a heavy bag because people can be hindrances if they turn into baggage. Some of you are trying to carry your family, you're trying to carry your spouse, you're trying to carry your coworkers, you're trying to carry your friends because people are heavy and they weigh on you. And one of the worst weights you could ever carry is the expectations of people. So you go to work, you got to fulfill the expectations of your boss and fill the expectations of your coworkers. But then you come home and now you have kids with expectations and a spouse with expectations. And this is why so many of our marriages end in divorce, because we believe that when we get married that our spouse will help us handle our bags. But the problem is they got their own bags and they don't have time to help me deal with my bag because they're dealing with their own bag. See, you didn't marry a man, you wanted a Messiah. You didn't want a wife, you wanted a maid, you wanted a butler, you wanted somebody to help you deal with your bags. And the problem is there is only one person that has ever asked for your bags, and that's Jesus Christ. He said, "Give me your bags." Not your spouse, not your husband, not your wife. We carry these The betrayal of people begins to weigh on us. And the hurts of people begin to weigh on us. People we know, people we don't know. And now we got to carry this bag. Let me talk about another bag. I really don't want to deal with this bag. See, this is the bag. This is the baggage of my dreams. And it weighs a lot because what's going on in my life is not what I expected to be going on in my life. See, I thought by this point in my life I would be successful. I'd be out of debt, that we wouldn't be living in an apartment, we'd have a house. I thought by this time I would have finished school. I thought by this time I would have a wife and 2.3 kids and a dog and a white picket fence. I just had all these dreams, but the problem was life didn't ask me about my dreams. Life doesn't care about my dreams. Life, and my dreams, you're supposed to go to bed at night and you're supposed to have what? Sweet dreams, right? But what happens when your dreams won't let you go to sleep? And I lay there in bed thinking about, I wanted to be done with college. I wanted to be out of debt, but now I'm having to work 2 jobs to pay for the debt that my husband got me in before he walked out on me and left me with these 2 kids. And now I gotta pay for the school that my wife, now I got all this stuff. I'm nowhere near where I dreamed I would be. Let me tell you, if you've never carried the bag of a dream, you don't know what weight is. Dreams. But let me help you with something. Don't follow your dreams. Don't follow your dreams. Follow Jesus, and your dreams will follow you. See, I don't have to carry this when I'm following Jesus. Because here's what Jesus said about me in Jeremiah 29:11. For the thoughts that I think towards you are of good and not of evil, says the Lord, to give you a future and a hope. So in other words, I don't have to dream about my future. I just have to follow Jesus and He'll make my dreams come true. My dreams have to follow Jesus when I follow Him. Here I am with all these dreams. It's amazing. Isn't it amazing how many bags one person can carry? This is how some of you look standing here today. All these bags. Oh, but there's one more bag. I don't want to carry this bag because this is the baggage of my sin. Past sin, present sin, future sin. And I was never meant to carry this bag. See, the writer of Hebrews, and this is a different translation, I want you to hear what he says. He says it like this, Hebrews chapter 12. He said, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down. Now he's going to talk about 2 different things here. He's going to talk about a weight that slows you down. But then he's going to talk about a weight that traps you. He said, let's deal with the weight that slows us down, strip it off. And then he goes on to say, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. There's another translation that talks about this bag, and it says, instead of trips us up, he says, ensnares us. You ever been walking through your backyard or walking through your house and you run into a spider web and you do that whole Matrix thing? Like everything turns into slow motion and you're positive. You've seen the movie Arachnophobia, that giant spider in Arachnophobia is sitting on your back now. You walk through the web and now he's on your back. It's a horrible thing. Sage asked me one day, she said, Dad, how come the bugs get stuck in the spider web but the spider doesn't? How can he walk all over that web and not get stuck but all the bugs do? And I said, Sage, because he weaves that web with 2 different types of silk. See, that silk that's going around in a circle, that's sticky. But those strands of silk that are going straight out, they're not. And the spider knows where to step, the bugs don't. So he can dance around on that web and make that web look fun. In fact, I even heard about one spider who will even flick the web to make it appeal to bugs, to draw them in. I even watched one bug one day, and he was crawling around on the web. He was just stepping in all the right spots and wasn't getting stuck. But it only takes one wrong step, and then you're trapped. And then you're ensnared. Here's what the Bible says about this baggage of sin, because I know many of you in here feel today that, listen, I've sinned, and you know what the Bible calls sin? Missing the mark. So the Bible sets a mark for our life and we miss it. We rebel against God. We say, I don't need God in my life, because the bag of sin can't exist without the bag of pride. The bag of pride tells you don't need God. You know better than God. You don't need to listen to Jesus. You don't need the Bible. You don't need a church. You don't need any of that. You can do life on your own. So the bag of pride leads you to the bag of sin, and you think, well, listen, I've slept around, no consequences. I've lied, no consequences. I've cheated people, no consequences. Well, the Bible talks about sin like this. It says the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is everlasting life through Jesus Christ. I thought about that word, wages. We have people in this church that get paid every Monday. Some get paid every Wednesday, some get paid every Friday. We have some people in this church that get paid every other week. And we have some people in this church that get paid monthly, once a month. Here's what I saw when I saw wages. Not everybody's payday is the same day. So if you're sinning and feel like I'm getting away with it, look, I'm touching the web and nothing's happening, maybe you just haven't hit payday yet. But payday will come when you least expect it. And once you hit that sticky part of the web, you're trapped. Trapped by the addiction, the affairs now leading to the divorce, the cheating has now led to you being broke. You got stuck in the web. If we could only see in the spirit today of how many people have walked through the doors of the church. We can't see it, but God can. There's moms that came here today looking like this. Dads that walked in. Young people that walk through the door. Students that walk through the door, and you look like this, so young, and yet you're carrying so many bags. Many of you have been alive for 40, 50 years, and you have accumulated a lot of baggage. Your stuff is heavy. And you walk in and you look around and you see other people worship. See, you didn't even want to come today. You didn't want to come because who would ever accept you with that many bags? Nobody wants you at their church carrying all those bags. And you walk in and people start to worship, and you'd say, I'd love to raise my hands, but I just got too many bags. I would love to feel the joy that they feel, but I got too many bags. I would love to celebrate. Look how they're celebrating over there, but I got too many bags. And you say, they would never want me. But then above that, you hear this voice. Come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. In other words, bring me your bags. Bring me the guilt, bring me the shame, bring me the pride, bring me the people that you think you're carrying, bring me all the dreams, the broken dreams, the unfulfilled dreams. Bring me your sin, and I will give you rest. I want to worship. But how can I worship when I'm carrying all these bags? But Jesus is saying, come.
I've carried a burden
don't want to carry this anymore.
I wasn't created.
You were never created
to bear it alone.
To live under this much weight on your own.
I don't have a context to let it all go. I don't understand. I can't comprehend. All I know is I need you.
Maybe he'll let me lay my baggage on him. Maybe, but Jesus, you don't understand. I'm so far over the weight limit. You can never carry all this, Jesus. And Jesus is standing at the check-in counter today saying, come on, it's time to check your bags. It's time to check your bags. Jesus, I'm so far overweight. I can't pay it. He said, don't worry about it. I've already paid the overage for you. I knew you couldn't pay it. I knew you couldn't carry it.
So I run to the Father again and again.
Can I tell you what real worship looks like? Real worship looks like, God, here's my pride. And God, here's my guilt. God, here's my dreams. Lord, here's all the people. Jesus, I bring you my sin.
Again and again, I run to the Father. I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding. No reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon. My soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father.
It's time for somebody to run. Somebody that's been carrying that bag of guilt, that bag of pride, that bag of broken dreams, that bag of people, and that bag of sin. If this message has connected with you and you are ready for God to perform an operation on your heart, you want to know what it is to worship in freedom. You want to know what it really means to be free. Step out in an aisle and come down here and check your bags.